I'm sure you've heard that time is money, but I'd argue that in 2025 and beyond, attention is the new currency. The person that can pay attention is going to beat the person who can't pay attention every time. Whether you're trying to start a business, level up in your career, or even just get your finances right, if you can't lock in, you're screwed. And the craziest part is, most of us don't even realize how bad it's gotten. This video might make you uncomfortable, but I promise it will help you way more than any money hack or side hustle tutorial. Because if you don't fix your attention, you'll never have the consistency or clarity to make real moves. The first thing I want to talk about is modern day brain damage. Let's talk about some real numbers. A study by Gloria Mark at UC Irvine found that the average worker switches tasks every 3 minutes. Once distracted, it could take up to 23 minutes to refocus. That's not a productivity issue, that's cognitive chaos. Another study showed that habitual multitaskers actually performed worse on memory tasks. This study also showed that they have reduced gray matter in the anterior cingulate cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for decision making. In plain English, this simply means that switching between TikTok, texting, everything else constantly all the time is rewiring your brain and not in a good way. There was one Saturday that I woke up, I really wanted to go to the gym, clean my room, and get some content out of the way. I laid down on my bed, watched some YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, and before I knew it, 4 hours passed. And as silly as it may sound, I was actually tired from just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and I hadn't done a single thing that I wanted to do that day. And I slowly began to realize that this wasn't a one-time thing. It was a pattern. My brain wasn't broken, it was hijacked. Next, I want to talk about the link between focus and finances and the hidden cost of distraction. Distraction is expensive because you can't build wealth if you can't build momentum. And you can't build momentum if you can't focus for 10 minutes. Let's break this down into 3 financial failures caused by distraction. And the first one is impulse spending. You're more likely to buy things when you're distracted because ads hit harder, dopamine makes you crave quick wins, and that $20 you spent on DoorDash wasn't hunger, it was manipulation and overstimulation. The next problem is inconsistent hustle. You always say that you want to start a business or start a little side gig, but you'll lock in for 3 days, then you'll find something better, get distracted, start that, and you repeat the cycle all over again. And I'm guilty of this. I do this all the time. And third is failure to learn deeply, because surface level knowledge is not power. You need to fully understand these systems. Investing, leveraging, finance, these things all require deep focus. And if you're sitting there watching a YouTube video trying to learn, and you're sitting there skimming your phone in the midst of it, you're not actually learning anything. The people that get rich don't actually work harder. They focus longer on fewer things. Third, you're not lazy, you're overstimulated, and you're letting dopamine shape your habits. Let's simplify dopamine, because it's simply just your brain's drug. And every notification, every like, every text message is another hit. Over time, your brain will adapt to this, and then normal things in life will become boring in comparison. That's when productivity dies. That's like eating candy every 5 minutes, then wondering why broccoli tastes bland. Broccoli didn't change, you changed. There was this one time where I tried to do a dopamine detox. I would turn my phone off after 9 p.m., I wouldn't eat junk food, I wouldn't watch TV, nothing like that. And I was really bored. For a very long time, I was bored. I'm talking, look at my wall board. But after 3 days, something began to change. I felt clear. I read more. I did the things that I actually wanted to do. And that little week of dopamine detox did way more for me than any of the podcasts I'd ever watched ever had. Next, I want to talk about how companies are profiting from your distraction. Because to be honest, your distraction is not accidental, it's being monetized. Things like the TikTok algorithm will learn what holds your attention and feed you more of it, even if it's nonsense or negativity. Things like YouTube will autoplay more videos when you're finished with the one you're watching. Or Netflix, they won't ask, are you still watching, until you're already 5 episodes deep. And ads are data-driven dopamine machines. They know what colors to use, what headlines to convert, and what times a day best to advertise where you're likely to be watching. Your attention is their profit, and if you don't take control, you will be the product. Now let's talk about the wealth formula. And this is going to sound stupid or cliche, but I promise it's actually helpful. To start, do a 2-minute breathing exercise, put your phone in another room, and cancel out all distractions. Set a 45-minute timer, choose one priority, and really lock in. If you do this 5 times a week, your output will explode. Next, create a dopamine floor, where you replace high stimulation tasks with neutral ones. Instead of TikTok, read 10 pages. Or instead of constant music, go on a little silent walk. Or instead of junk food, eat some real whole food. By lowering your dopamine baseline, focus will feel so good again. Next, you're going to create a financial focus stack. All it takes is 3 hours out of your week. First, spend an hour of uninterrupted money learning. I'm talking YouTube videos, podcasts, books, anything like that. Next, spend an hour working on a side hustle or building a skill. And last, spend an hour reviewing your budget and planning your next move. 3 hours a week is really all it takes to build something solid that will last you for years to come. Next is to just lock in for 1 weekend a month. No junk food, no social media, no distractions. Just you and locking in. Just grind, plan, and reset your brain. It's like clicking delete, but for your memory. Lastly, I want to go over the long-term cost because the truth is, focus is a skill. And if you don't build it, you're going to end up like 95% of people. Distracted, broke, and wondering why nothing ever works out. But if you can build it, you become dangerous. Most people these days can't even sit in a quiet room alone with their own thoughts. The richest people in the world aren't always the smartest, but they can lock in way longer than you can. They read, they think, and they execute. If you made it this far, you're already ahead. Most people click off after the 90-second mark. But you're not like most people. You want freedom, you want peace, and you want wealth. I promise you, if you can master your attention, you can master your income, your mindset, and your wealth. So as always, thank you for watching. Take this advice and take action. Put some of these steps into your life and just see how much it changes.